Hello again, Stephen here. How are you? I'm going to talk a little bit about navigating your software on your iPad. I've recreated this screen to look a little bit like what you probably saw the very first time you turned it on and thought to yourself, what do I do with it now? So an essential first move with an iPad is getting it hooked up to the Wi-Fi. So we're going to do that right now by clicking on the Settings tab. Opens this, typically set to the General Settings feature you can see on the left hand side. First task I'm going to request of you is to click the About, hit Name, put your name on it. It's kind of an informal setting, but it's a nice way to settle disputes between friends about whose iPad is who. Another great thing to do is to put a bunch of stickers on yours so it identifies it easily and visually. The next step down, we're going to go to the network, click it, hit the Wi-Fi. It's going to show all the networks available. You can see I've only got one. It's called Farmhouse 2. It's password secured and I've got a nice strong signal. I'm going to step on the network above it, go to General, back to the main page. Just below network is your Bluetooth. It's got a little slider. You can turn it off and on. I've got two options for what I might connect to. I've got my keyboard and my iMac. At the moment I'm not going to do either, but it's a pretty simple affair. I'm sure you can figure that out now that you know where these things exist. Passcode lock, also something else essential. I think you really are going to want to enable your passcode, put a passcode in. It is another tier of security, and if you're not sure if someone's iPad is yours or not, you can always check the passcode and make sure that that works. The next piece down, multitasking gestures. The default mode on an iPad is that they're enabled. You can see that there's three different types. This is a 4 or 5 finger pinch to the home screen is what I'm going to use first. Then we're going to talk about the 4 finger swipe and the 3 variations on it. So to close any app you're in, you can just put all your fingers on it, pinch them together almost as if you were picking up a ball. And it goes away just like that and takes you back to the screen you originally started on. Pretty sweet, good way to navigate around. I'm going to click on Safari, bring up a page. Safari is the default web browser. You're stuck with it as being the internal reference of the machine. It's always going to want to open things in Safari. You can still download and use other browsers. In fact, there's a couple that I recommend that I really like. Dolphin and the Chrome browser I think are really good on this device. So 4 finger swipe, I'm going to swipe to the right and you can see we get that little wiggle. That means we're all the way to that end. Swiping to the left takes you back to the previous task you're involved in. In this case, it's the general settings. 4 finger swipe up reveals a pane underneath which shows all the applications that have been opened recently. And if you go just one further swipe to the right, you'll see it gives you a few extra settings. The far left, I have the orientation lock, which I'm going to unlock. There's a brightness slider here, which doesn't really show up on the recording. The default mode of your iPad is to automatically adjust brightness. For the most part, that works fine, but occasionally you're going to want to take control of that yourself, so that's how you access it. The next 3 buttons are all about navigating iTunes. You can see the icon for that to the far right. There is a volume button, and then the 4th button that's lit up blue. This is your AirPlay app. So when your device is in the range of an AirPlay, it will become, the button itself will appear. Instead of blue, it will be black. Blue means that I'm engaged. So you can see it's got a simple interface. Normally it would open and it would be, the check mark would be next to the iPad. I've selected my iMac and I've turned mirroring on, and that mirroring is allowing me to play on the screen, which I'm then capturing through QuickTime recording. So to get rid of the pop-up screen, just tap the screen once. I'm going to tap the screen once again and it's going to take me down, and then I'm going to do the 5 finger pinch and we're back to the home screen. So there's some of the basics about connecting to Wi-Fi, a few general settings, and now we're going to hit the App Store right in the middle of my screen. There's about 250,000 apps in the App Store. It's a tremendous amount of software that's been written in the 2 years since this tool has been available. I'm clicking the search bar. So what I'm after is already there because that's the page I was just on, but you just type in what you're looking for, see the results. This is a free app even though it says install. I'm going to hit install. It's going to ask for a password. And I've built this password specifically for this occasion. So don't feel like you're getting any secrets out of me by watching right now. And let's see if I remembered it correctly. Looks good. So the Pulse app is one of my favorite news reading apps. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in a future screencast. You can see it's installing. And that's really all it takes to download software. I mean, it's amazing. It's a few seconds. Once you locate what you want, drop it in, and it's good to go. So the way that I have organized my iPad, I've got about 140 or so apps on it, quite a few pages, as you can see. This interesting page, what I've done is combined apps to put them into folders so that I am able to access them more readily and my screen is just not completely clogged up. You can see that I've got about 7 little dots there, so 7 pages of apps. You can get up to 11. And in order to manage these apps a little bit, I'm going to demonstrate how you might want to move them, delete them, or put them into folders together. So like many things in the iPad, a long hold will produce a different result. In this case, clicking and holding on MindMeister causes them all to wiggle. So this is the mode that's going to allow you to delete and relocate apps. So I'm going to push and hold the MindMeister, put it on top of paper, and they're going to collapse together into a folder. Well, I don't like calling them productivity apps, so I'm just going to call it Draw. And those are a couple of my favorite apps. In fact, I like them so much that I'm going to click and hold and pull that onto the bar and place that folder right there onto my dock so that it's always available to me. That little flickering that you just saw, that's the recording app. That's not actually how my iPad is behaving, just so you know. The Pulse app, I think, is a pretty primary one, so I'm gonna hold it again, drag it over to the edge, and just hold it there about halfway in. And now it's giving me the other screen, and I'm going to place the app down. All these wiggling apps makes me a little bit crazy, so when you're ready for that to stop, all you need to do is push the home button right there. And they settle down. So those are a few tricks, pretty simple. If you chose to delete an app, you do the same thing, push and hold, they wiggle, click the X, you get a warning, ask me if I'm sure that I want to delete it. Actually, Haiku Deck I really like because it allows you to build PowerPoints from Community Commons designated images, so it's pretty sweet. So I'm going to cancel that. I don't really want that to go. Same thing with the Infinite Canvas here. This is the app built by one of our instructors, Chris Allen. It's a pretty sweet app. And I think that covers it for today. Taking you through a handful of gestures, how to get connected to the Wi-Fi, how to download and begin to manage your apps. With all things in the iPad, really, it's a very learning by doing environment. So roll up your sleeves, get playing with your apps, and have fun.